Gavin. Read those books in a blink, oh yeah. Grab yourself a hot drink cause you're watching How to Train Your Gavin.
Yep, that's me.
Hi everyone, welcome back to How to Train Your Gavin. Today I am doing the Bookternet All-Stars Charity Challenge. I was tagged by Rachael Marie, who created this challenge as a way to help raise some money for COVID-19 relief. This is pretty much a tag so anybody can do it, and it's encouraged that you do it. Every single person or every submission towards this tag, Rachael Marie will donate €1 up to €75 to this charity. And I will leave a link for the GoFundMe in the description box below as well as other information and things for you if you want to check this out a bit more. You can donate money if you are able to, but yeah, this is all just to try and, you know, help out a little bit more. So the tag is, there is this sort of bingo board which I will put on the screen here as well, and you kind of have to go through these to see who you have actually read, who you haven't read, why you haven't read them, because these are pretty much Booktube darlings. You know, they've been hyped up by a lot of different Booktubers. It's almost a given that everyone's probably read these books, but if you're like me, I have not read quite a lot of these books. So of course you can do this yourself. You can post a video on YouTube, or you can do it on Instagram or Twitter, and it's actually quite fun to see what I have and have not read. So on the bingo board, the first author is Angie Thomas, who wrote The Hate U Give and On the Come Up, and I've read both of these books. I absolutely love them. I definitely love this one more than I love this one. I give this one 5 stars, I give this one 4 stars. The Hate U Give, I mean, I can't speak on the representation or anything, but it definitely opened my eyes to what has been happening to Black people in America, and it was very harrowing to read, and it's just so beautifully written as well. I thought it was fantastic. For a young adult, it tackled some really strong issues, and I just thought it was really emotional and just a wonderful book for people to read. And I had the pleasure of meeting Angie Thomas as well. She signed this book. So the talk was to promote On the Come Up, and she was just a sweetheart. She was so funny, and it was just a brilliant event. So definitely will be checking out more of Angie Thomas's work when she brings more out, and I'm definitely looking forward to reading more from her. So yeah, I've read both of Angie Thomas's books so far. Next up is the Shadow Me series by Tahereh Mafi, and I have not read any of those books, and I have heard a lot of good things about it. I've heard some bad things about it, but one of my best friends from uni, she's read them and she loves them, and she's been begging me to read them, so I will most likely be reading these at some point. I don't own them, and I have so much on my TBR already, and yeah, one of these days I will get around to reading them. I don't know why I haven't picked them up. The premise sounds intriguing, but there's so many books, so little time. So next up is Leigh Bardugo, and I have not read a single Leigh Bardugo book at all. However, I do own them all. I'm one of those people who will buy a full series from an author without having actually read any of their books. So I did the exact same thing with J Maas, but I haven't read a single one of her Grishaverse books. I haven't read her adult book, Ninth House, even though I got the arc of it because I'm such a letdown. But these books do interest me. I will get around to reading them at some point. I've never gotten to the point where I just felt like, oh, I absolutely have to read Shadow and Bone. Shadow and Bone is the first book in the Grishaverse. I mean, Six of Crows is part of a duology, or is it these two? So I could start with Six of Crows if I wanted to, and that's the one I'm looking forward to the most. But everyone pretty much says just start with Shadow and Bone and work your way chronologically by publication date, I think. So I will get round to reading these eventually. Nothing against them, obviously, because I own them all, but it's just not something that really screams at me to read. Next up is Holly Black, and I have read The Cruel Prince very recently. I've just filmed my March wrap-up where I go into what I thought of this, but I also have The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing is out, but I'm waiting for the paperback, and I did like The Cruel Prince. I didn't love it. There's so much I didn't like about it, but it's one of those really average reads for me that I'm definitely still going to continue reading the series. But I'm sure Holly Black's written more things. I just can't remember what she's done. So I haven't got anything else by Holly Black. Not really something that I gravitate towards at all, but I mean, this is definitely some of the most hyped books on YouTube, and I hope The Wicked King is better than The Cruel Prince. I really do. I'm going to be reading it soon anyway, so we'll find out. Wasn't the biggest fan of Holly Black's writing style, so she's not really an author I think I'm going to love, but hopefully I can tick off her books at some point. Next up is The Bone Witch by Rincha Pecco. I've literally just been gifted this by Bev, so I have not read this one yet. Thank you so much, Bev, by the way. And I'm definitely interested in reading these books. The whole controversy that's been going around with Mackenzie Leigh signing Rin's and other authors' books has been quite something to watch unfold. But even before that all happened, I've been interested in Rincha Pecco's books anyway. I definitely want to get around to reading this. It seems so interesting. I just haven't yet. But yeah, I love anything to do with witches, so what am I waiting for? And I really want to get to Wicked As You Wish as well. I've been hearing a lot of hype on that one, so yeah, another one I haven't read, and you can say exactly where this video is going. Next up is Victoria Schwab, and I do own all of her books, except it seems Vicious. I thought I had Vicious, but I can't seem to find it anywhere. So, I'm sure I have it, I just can't find it. So there's Vengeful, but I haven't read Vicious or Vengeful yet. I have read City of Ghosts and Tunnel of Bones by Victoria Schwab, and obviously I'm a huge middle grade reader, but these weren't my favourite at all. Especially Tunnel of Bones I thought wasn't really that good. City of Ghosts is good, but Tunnel of Bones, nah. I've read The Archive. That was one of the first books I picked up because of Booktube, like way back when. I think it was like 2014, and I think it was Jessie the Reader who had read it, so I downloaded it on the Kindle. So I got The Archived, and I haven't read The Unbound yet, but I need to reread The Archive before I read it because I've forgotten everything that happens in it. I've not read The Savage Song or A Dog Duet. I have read A Darker Shade of Magic and A Gathering of Shadows, but I need to finish A Conjuring of Light because I've been 200 pages into it since October. So I definitely need to finish it off, and I will at some point, I promise, because I really did love the first two, so we'll see about that. But yeah, where is Vicious? I genuinely have no idea where I've put Vicious. But I'm sure I have it. I'm sure I have it. But everything's a mess at the minute because I'm missing an entire bookshelf, so we'll see if that, you know, pops up somewhere. I'm sure it will. Next up is the Lunar Chronicles series by Marissa Meyer, and I only just read these last year. In fact, I have not read Stars Above or Fairest yet. I will probably read them at some point, but I did read the main series, and I really enjoyed them. I gave Cinder 4 stars, Scarlet and Crest 3 stars, and Winter 5 stars. I thought it was such a great series, and I really enjoyed them. I wasn't sure what to expect going into them, but it is, you know, young adult sci-fi, and it's great. It's a good time. It's one of the first sci-fis I've read, so it really helped me pave the way into that. Would you say it's a genre? It's like a subgenre, right? Sci-fi is a subgenre? Or is it a main genre? I don't know, and I'm sure there's some kind of problem with using the word sci-fi. I don't know. I don't know how to correctly term things, so please let me know if I'm wrong about what I'm calling it. But yeah, young adult sci-fi. I really enjoyed them. I will probably reread them at some point as well, but not anytime soon because I've got too much to read anyway. But I liked them. I liked them for what they were. I haven't picked up any of Marissa Meyer's other books. I'm just not that interested in the other books. So these are probably going to be the only Marissa Meyer books that I read. So next up is Adam Silveira, and I have read They Both Die at the End, and I loved that book. I thought it was really good. That was my first Adam Silveira book, and it made me excited to read more from Adam Silveira. And then I read What If It's Us, which he co-authored with Becky Albertalli, and that's one of the worst books I've ever read. So I have not picked up any more Adam Silveira books, and I probably won't. I think it's History Is All You Left Me and More Happy Than Not. I think those are two of Silveira's other YA contemporaries, and they do look good, but I probably won't pick them up now. And Infinity Sun, I've heard so many bad things about it that I'm just not going to try picking that one up. I'm not a fan of Adam Silveira's books anymore. What If It's Us really put me off, but I did really enjoy They Both Die at the End, but I don't own it physically, and I probably never will because I don't think I'll ever reread it. But it was good when I read it, and I'm going to leave it at that. And then we have Cassandra Clare, and she wrote the Shadowhunters books, and there's like this whole Infernal Devices world as well, or there's loads of different kind of spin-off-y kind of books that's in the universe. I don't know. But I will never read a Cassandra Clare book. It's just not for me. No hate towards Cassandra Clare or people who love Cassandra Clare's books. It's just, it doesn't interest me in the slightest. So I'm just going to avoid it. I think if I had picked it up years and years and years ago, before the series just became this huge thing, that it's just too intimidating for me as well, and I just don't think I'll enjoy it, so I'm just not going to force myself to read it. But yeah, Cassandra Clare is an author I will never read. Now we have The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have read this and I absolutely loved it. This is one that I definitely picked up because of Booktube and I gave it 5 stars. It's one of the best books I've ever read and I couldn't stop thinking about it. It put me into a book hangover because I could not pick up another book after this and it's just so good. I also have After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid and Daisy Jones and the Six. I haven't read After I Do, but I have read Daisy Jones and the Six. I listened to it audibly and read it physically, and it's in my March wrap-up. And I didn't like it as much as everybody else did, I'm afraid. But it was okay. And I still gave it a high rating anyway, because the audiobook is just that good. But Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is definitely a winner. And yeah, it puts my faith into Booktube and recommendations on Booktube. Because that one, oh my god, I am so grateful for that recommendation. And I've recommended it to so many people since in like my real life who I've just given this book to and just like, read this. Oh, have not looked back. Then we have Laini Taylor, and I've never read a single book by Laini Taylor, I'm afraid. They don't exactly interest me either. The concepts of them seem good, and I hear that she is such a great writer and she has very flowery prose, which doesn't put me off in the slightest, but I'm still not really that interested in reading them unless it was presented in front of me and so he said, read this now, I would probably read it because if I felt I didn't have a choice. But yeah, just not something I'm going to go out my way to get. Then we have the Illumination Files by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, but I've never read those and I'm not really interested in reading those. I might, because I've heard good things about them, especially from some of my closest friends on Booktube, and they love the series, so I probably should read them, but I'm not really that interested. As I say, my TBR is already huge. But I do have Jay Kristoff's Nevernight series. I don't know what the actual series is called, to be honest. It's not called the Nevernight series, it's called something else. But these are the Nevernight books, and I do really want to read these at some point. I just haven't yet, but I will eventually. They seem good. They're some of my closest friends' favourite books, so I will get to them eventually. I will, I promise. And then we have Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and I read all of these because of Booktube as well, mainly because of Beck and the Books, and I love this series so much. Well, I definitely love the first two, and I liked the final book. I liked it, but that's where it ends, I'm afraid. I was so disappointed by it, but at the same time I still liked it. It's one of those polarizing books when even I'm not that sure about it in my heart. But Scythe and Thunderhead are two fantastic books in my opinion. Absolutely love them. And I think because of my love for those, it definitely overshadowed The Toll. And there was such a lot that The Toll had on it. It was so much pressure put on it. So maybe that kind of affected my rating. But still, it let me down. Can't fault the first two. I really can't fault the first two. And I definitely want to read more by Neil Shusterman. He has other books out, so I will pick them up eventually. So I'm glad I have read the series. Next up is Sarah J Maas, and I have all of Sarah J Maas's books. I bought all of the Throne of Glass books, even though I had never read them. Same with the Akatar books. So I'm only going to hold up 2 of the books that I have read. These are the only 2 Sarah J Maas? These are the only 2 Sarah J Maas books that I have read. Crescent City was my first ever one. I did a vlog reading this. And Akatar, I also did a vlog reading Akatar as well for the first time. I read this in January and I read this one in February. Ooh, sorry, there was a magpie. Anyway, I really loved Crescent City. I thought it was great escapism. It just took me away and I thought it was really well written actually. And a lot of people give Sarah J Maas, you know, a lot of hate for her writing, but I actually thought it was well written. But I mean, I haven't read the Throne of Glass series yet, so I don't know, you know, what that's about. But Akatar as well, I really enjoyed. I think I gave it 4 stars. It didn't blow me away, but I thought it was a good first book in a new series that I haven't read yet. So I'm really interested in seeing where that goes. I'm so excited to read Akamath. But yeah, these are the only 2 books I've read. I'm not picking up all of the other ones. I've got them all, but I'm not picking them up. Fuck that. But I will say I am class for Sarah J Maas. Next up is Sabaa Tahir, and I've never read any of her books. She wrote An Ember in the Ashes, I believe it is, but I've never read them. I don't own them. They do look interesting. I see it around, and I know a few people really enjoy it, but again, who's got the time? Next up is Seanan McGuire, and Middle Game is the only book I own by Seanan McGuire. I don't own any more of Seanan McGuire's books, so this is the only one I have, and this was gifted to me by Rachael Marie last year, so I really need to read this one. Oh my god. This does interest me so much though. I haven't gotten around to it. This was on my Bookie Trials TBR last year, and it was such a hectic month, I just never got round to it. So, you know, when something goes on my TBR once and I just don't get to it, it seems to not go on a TBR again for a long time. So this will definitely be going on my TBR at some point this year because I need to read it. And it is one of Rachael Marie's favourites, as well as a lot of people's favourites. I think it's Books and Lala's favourite. So I'm definitely going to check it out. Don't worry, I will at some point. This one is probably the only one that interests me by Seanan McGuire. So yeah, I'm going to give this one a try first and then work my way from there. Next up we have R.F. Kwon, The Poppy War, and I did start reading this. I think I got about 100 pages in. Do I still have a bookmark in here? No, I don't. I got about 100 pages in and I stopped because at the time, I think it was after reading Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I couldn't get into it. So I gave up, and I haven't DNF'd it because I do want to read it. I wasn't in the mood for it at the time, and I do need to be in the mood for this for me to read it. And I will get to it eventually. But I know there's the Dragon Republic that's out, and I'll read that at some point too. I just need to read this first. And yeah, again, mixed things, and some of it puts me off, some of it doesn't, so we'll just see how I get on with it. And then last up is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han, and I haven't read any of them. They look short enough that I could probably get through the entire series in a day. It looks like a really fun one to do that with, and I probably will at some point, you know. I don't expect great things from it, but it looks good. I enjoyed the Netflix adaptation when I watched it couple of years ago now. I need to rewatch it actually, and I have not watched P.S. I Love You yet, so maybe I should do a marathon of the first two movies. Surely they'll be doing a third one, right? Because there's 3 books in that series, isn't there? So there should be a third movie. Maybe I'll binge read them all and binge watch the movies at some point. It does look like a bit of a palate cleanser kind of thing. And that's what a lot of people have said about it as well. It's not really something that's, you know, extraordinary or anything, but, you know, something quick and easy to get through. And yeah, so yeah, that is my Bookternet All-Stars Charity Challenge tag that I was tagged in. Thank you so much, Rachel, for creating this and tagging me. And so I tag anybody who really wants to do this one as well. Make sure you use the hashtag BookTernetGivesBack. And if you can donate anything at all to this GoFundMe, then I have got the link in the description below, so do check that out. It was quite fun going through the really hyped books on Booktube and realising that I'm doing a really bad job at being a booktuber. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please give it a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a little comment. Let me know what you've read and what you haven't read, and just make me feel a bit better about myself, please. And I hope you're staying safe, I hope you're staying well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!